And we are live. Welcome to Muscle Flats, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to Capital Brewing for supporting the channel, always helping us out here and providing us with some delicious beers. So cheers, Capital Brewing. And welcome, guys. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us, Nick.
Welcome
you for
back.
having us.
Welcome, Tommy. Good to see you.
Great to see you, Special K.
1 and episode 2 guests back in the flats. Great to have you guys. What's been going on?
Mate, plenty.
Too much.
Yeah, 100%.
Too much, man. Oh man, yeah. Just the possibilities, created during the lockdown has just been mental, really. I mean, you'd think that the lockdown would rob you of everything, but the thing is, when you change your mindset, it gives you everything.
And
Yeah.
you've been up in Sydney, Kirk, with a big show. How'd
Yeah,
that
we
go?
it was amazing, man. We played the Success Stains live experience with the band, with Victor, with Josh, live for the first time. And it's a vision I've been working on since like last October, as far as this new punk direction we're exploring with the mixtape we're dropping next year. Bringing the boys in, having the beautiful world that Tommy's helped to create with visualizing the stains and having these UV lights react and bring the stains to life visually, creating the interludes in the set so everything flows. It's this really big concept I've been building for a long time now, and I think it's the first time that I'm really finding my voice and my direction live and really presenting something that speaks to who I am. So that process has been super fulfilling, and I know that in Canberra that's going to hit a whole new peak this weekend, so I'm really excited about that.
Fuck yeah. And you guys have partnered up a little bit on this project.
Partners in crime, man.
Yeah.
Like the old days.
the artist and the rapper back
100.
together again.
100.
What's that look like?
Well, how do I start? Yeah, look, it's been an amazing, journey, with Kirklandd, and especially during the lockdown. Coming up with all this stuff, all this pent up energy, that's kind of coming out, through the visual form, through his musical form. Finding ways to find that kind of resonance together, which is really important. We had a lot to say, and we learnt a lot of stuff, during the lockdown.
Yeah.
For me, the most important thing was that when you're changing your location and the place where your point of creation, right, you can actually bring the same energy and vibe to any space that you want. That's the beauty of it. I used to, paint at the City West car park, now known as Secure Car Park, and there was certain energy that was there. But when the first kind of lockdown in the beginning, happened, it just changed everything. But there was a way how to kind of harness that so that you can actually create and bring that vibe to your own home. And it was really beautiful because my family, are there, and the support is there. And it was just incredible. And that was the thing that really kind of brought it together for me. So
what was the process like of I guess, transferring or realizing that energy in a different space? Was that more self-work? Was it more work in the actual new space in which you're working in to make it facilitate that energy? What was the process like for that?
Well, with that, it was first the logistics of it, because I had to actually...
A lot less space, I guess, as well in the garage.
Yeah, exactly. And also in the garden as well. So naturally there are constrictions to this thing, but the thing is that once you kind of break through those limitations, you can actually find almost an infinite space in a finite space. So I wanted, because my vision during the lockdown was, even though everything is closed off, which it was literally, the mind and the soul were limitless. That was my vision. And same with the art. So I wanted to kind of bring that into the art and bring it into the physical space. So how to house and how to create the space so that you can create that kind of free-flowing art, because you need an oasis where, you're not bombarded by media and all this kind of stuff, it can get you down, right?
Yeah.
So you need that little oasis and place, and I'm sure that you have the same kind of space.
I do.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And that allows you to find that purity in your creation. And that's, how I kind of worked it out. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
It's cool that you can do that with your family, because I found that I a few years ago moved out from my mother's place into the pool house, which I've now made into my own sort of personal studio and just pad. That's and cool. For me it's been dope being in total control of the energy in that place and putting in a lot of I guess you call it like dharmic energy. Like I meditate there a lot. There's a lot of creative energy that I feel like kind of reciprocates around the space and is there all the time. So anytime I walk in there or I'm spending a lot of time there, I just go into this like comfortable, relaxed place of like, this is what this space is for. And being in that place 24/7 is so dope. But it's great that you can facilitate that with your family there as well. And I know you explained that your process kind of changed when you had kids as well. Correct, and how that kind of at first might have been like a little bit of a difficult pivot with your creative process, but then actually enhanced it, which is so cool that you can like, you can find that flow with new people in new spaces. That's dope.
That's right. That's right. It's as with anything in life, at first it seems like a challenge, but then once the energies kind of align and you go through the process of fine tuning, you can then kind of accelerate together, you know? And that's kind of the beautiful thing, you know, with family, having that support there, the help, you know, in certain kinds of, you know, key moments, you know, having my wife videotape now, like, you know, on the TikTok.
She did our content.
Instagram. We'll see the content soon. So,
definitely.
You know, and it's just so cool. Like you can actually turn it round.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the lock. I mean, I know it sounds weird, the beauty of a lockdown. I mean, what's that? But if you change your mindset, you pivot. You literally pivot. You have to pivot.
Yeah.
Right. You have to adapt to the situation, and because of that, you know, a lot of things happen. I mean, during the lockdown, I created, you know, like an art sale, you know, art promotion for my work. So I had all these assets that were kind of, you know, gathering dust, unfortunately, for a while. But then I realized that, you know, back to my practice, you know, like I wanted to showcase it. I wanted to bring the energy back to my practice, and you know, and kind of add new things to it, right? So the lockdown gave me a chance to create new techniques, invent stuff, right? Same with your music as well.
Yeah.
You know, and basically that can activate, you know, existing audience. You can expand into a new audience. There are all these possibilities. So it was an amazing experience, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there, how much work was there before you kind of found that flow and found that fulfillment? How much work went into that? Because I know that for me, it was like, it was such constant work to not be affected by what was happening externally. Because I think initially for me, like start of last year as well, even just personally, I just got very anxious and caught up in the way things were and what was happening in myself as well as the world. But it took a lot of work to focus more internally and to not be as affected by the state of my particular industry, which just went to shit. But yeah, man, that took, absolutely. But it took constant work to not be influenced by that in just like my daily level of fulfillment or focus or happiness. Like when you facilitate it coming internally, particularly in a creative practice, it's a lot more fulfilling. But like I said, a lot of constant work. So I'm curious to know how much work went into you finding that flow.
Well, the thing with that is that, in the beginning of the year, you know, things were quite hard and you know, the situation was getting worse with COVID and all this stuff. And it was actually, you know, kind of affecting me emotionally, you know, emotionally, mentally. It affected my practice and all this kind of stuff. And then there was a point where there was so much bad energy that I realized from the outside, people telling me that, you know, you're acting a bit different now, right?
Right.
So from the outside, then I could actually see, you know, it became apparent that I had to change.
Yeah.
So when I changed, I realized that it wasn't only just the thoughts and everything, you had to actually physically change your space as well. When you were anchored in a new space, that allowed you to grow. So for me, I think the turning point was literally just ripping up the carpet and putting in a timber floor, right?
Always liberating.
Right. A lot of work, almost killed me. Almost 5 days of just insane toil, right? Yeah. Ripping up that carpet.
I actually got my carpet I want to get out, man. Can I call you around sometime and get that done? Is that
we'll work something out.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So, but once that changed, everything changed, right?
Yeah.
My whole perspective of life it's like I haven't been living before. And then actually affected my practice as well. Because it's like you can make these changes in your physical space, you can make these changes in your practice, right? And so there's important moments like that are important anchors, I guess. So and
recognizing that your environment and the people you're surrounded by like form so much of your own energy is really important, I think.
Very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So God bless the lockdown. It's a bit weird saying that.
No, but like, I'm glad you've said it positively as well, because for me, it was the best 2 years of my life personally, as far as my own growth. But I don't say that lightly, because it took a lot of work to achieve that just in myself. It wasn't easy in that way, but definitely the most rewarding for sure.
Like having a family.
Something I know very little about, but it sounds incredible, man, for sure.
Yeah, it's an amazing journey. It tests you to the very limits, but it also gives you beyond limits. Let's say that boundless joy and all the wonderful things in life, and it's it's your legacy, right? I mean, we have a family; it changes everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just quite blessed.
Has it increased your output simply because you want to work harder for your legacy now, I guess? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. Dope.
Absolutely.
Dope.
Absolutely. I want my kids to have a future. I want them to find their path as well. But I'm still finding mine.
Well said. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mentioned earlier that your wife was helping you with the camera work now that you're in the home office.
Yeah, that's right.
In the past, I've asked you about your process, and sometimes you've held that quite close to your chest.
I've always held it close.
What you actually do and how you create your pieces.
Yep.
Now you're sort of sharing a bit more of that. How has that been? Sharing those processes, has that been tough to do?
Look, I mean, to break the drought, so to speak, was very difficult because I wanted to kind of change things up a little bit and do something that was a little bit, quite uncomfortable for me, right? I want to keep certain things a secret as an artist. This, it's like, a magician doesn't want to give away all the, secrets and that kind of thing. But I realized that if you let go of certain things like that you hold so dear, you're like, when you actually let it go, you're letting in a lot more. So that was really a bit of an epiphany for me because it let in a lot more people. A lot more of my audience were, they reacted to it. And I got a lot of DMs about it saying like, finally, you show how you do it, that kind of thing, right? And that was actually pretty amazing. I actually love that kind of attention, the energy that gave. And that actually kind of inspires me to go further with it, So to further the process. And all of these things were actually kind of developed during the lockdown.
Yeah.
Because that was me experimenting, trying to find new ways, to manifest, that creative output. So, it's been exciting.
And we even got a look at the Kirklandd.
That's Kirklandd.
This is the first time you had this particular process, right, with the power tool, and
it's the first time I ever recorded it.
Right.
First time ever.
Well, I remember we talked about this because I was saying, like, I remember I talked to you about I wanted to do like a BTS TikTok and stuff, and you were like, I don't usually let people in on the process that way, and then you chose to, man, which was awesome.
Thanks.
But I totally would have understood if you didn't because, like, yeah, like I think for me, it's not so much about giving away the keys of what I do. It's more about like I'm in a very personal vortex of energy when I'm creating. It's just very enclosed when I'm alone and creating and stuff. And I think if I had like a live stream on or a camera or something, I think I would just be self-conscious and like less, out of myself. So
that's a very good point. Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I was concerned with you. I didn't want to put you in that position, but then obviously you did it, and I think it looks incredible, and it's so cool letting people in on how we actually like approach this whole idea.
Thanks, man.
It's really dope.
I mean, we had those conversations about it, and it was building up to something, and just taking that risk and doing something a bit different, that allowed a lot more stuff to come in, right? It was really quite amazing.
Did that come through feedback from other people as far as new ideas or new techniques? Or
Yeah. It came back through, feedback through people. I had some really funny comments there as well. With one of my friends who was playing with me at that time a little bit, Because he made fun of the idea of the stains, but then I told him the concept through the DMs, and then he clicked.
Cool. And that's what I need to give is that concept of that meaning as well.
You need to give it, exactly. Yeah. So it's about, the way that I understood the stains concept was that it's a reappropriation. Stains are usually a negative thing, like a coffee stain, a shit stain, whatever, right? It's a negative thing. But the thing is that once you reappropriate it, you change its meaning, then you can use the same word, but you can you say it differently. It's like Marcel Duchamp. It's my favorite way of understanding it. It's like Marcel Duchamp with the La Fontaine, the toilet, right? He turned it upside down, created an artwork from it, right? Reappropriated the meaning, right? Yeah. And I think it's a very exciting thing because it's gone on to my practice, and I start to see that my art is all about stains. It always has been. Yeah. From all those years back, right? And they have a life and energy of their own. It literally flows through and goes into your body like electricity, right? And you feel it. You feel the waves. You feel the color, the frequency. I know it sounds a bit mental, but once you experience it, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Like it's a really beautiful thing, you know? So,
Yeah.
and that's why I definitely, I was so interested in that concept and wanted to kind of, take it a bit further, through the actual process as well, and give it that energy, right? And also, it's just creating a wonderful vibe.
100%.
But
it's so cool that you brought that to light, that element specifically, because for when I was building the Success Stains concept, originally I had this idea of like doing photo shoots and having the stains animated around me, but something about it felt very corny to kind of see them visually. I think the idea is more mysterious when there's some sort of entity that you never see. You hear them in the live set, you understand what they are, but you never actually see them come to life. Yep. But like you said, to see them viscerally and powerfully and glowing and seeing their power like what you've created, I think that really excites me creatively. And that's the first time people are seeing them in person. But like you said, knowing the power and trying to utilize it in a positive way, because the way the concept came about, I was at a party mid-year roughly, and I was talking to this girl who was hosting, she was like doing gallery exhibitions as a fine artist. Yeah. And she basically was explaining to me that like she was really frustrated because she wasn't getting the kind of opportunities she wanted. She wasn't getting the gallery openings she wanted. She wasn't getting the exhibits she was going for. And she was saying how she wants to kind of adjust her practice or her art pieces to kind of better suit what she was going for objective-wise. And something like kind of clicked inside me because I realized that I'd done that before as well. I'd release songs a certain way, or maybe made songs shorter or released them at a certain time to try and facilitate certain opportunities that I was going for at the time. But then I realized that kind of undermines the value of how much of yourself you put into the music. Exactly. And how art should be measured. And I think it really needs to be measured by how it helps the creator and how it hopefully helps the people that experience it or hear it or whatever. Exactly. As opposed to how well it does milestone-wise in the material world. And I was just thinking about that whole idea of adjusting art and taking it further away from yourself and how much of yourself you put into it. Yep. And then I went home with Joshy B, my close homie and drummer, and we were talking about just the idea that in any creative process, like it very quickly weeds out the people that are here doing it for the love and who aren't, because it's a very difficult process just to like facilitate doing what you love. And that's not, that art is not a life often celebrated. And I was just thinking of that difficulty of defining what success is as a creative and how it's constantly changing for me and how I'm constantly not reaching it and constantly frustrated, but then kind of using that frustration and angst as like energy for me to fulfill what I'm doing even more and turning it into a positive and becoming one with that potentially negative energy. And that, I think, is how you ultimately realize success in self and your relationships, materially, if that's a part of it as well. But me trying to define what that is at this point in my life what the concept has become, and seeing it brought to life visually, what you've done, I think is really dope. So yeah, it was cool that you understood the concept and yeah, visualize it the way you did, for sure. I
love it, man. I love the way you express that, because artists go through this process where, you question yourself. You don't get into this gallery. I've had the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I've had to find different ways,
Social media, I think, facilitates that on a regular basis. Ideas that you think are good, works that you're proud of that may not engage the way you expect. Exactly. And you have to have a wall up between you and algorithms, essentially.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's wild. It's crazy.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I think the takeaway from this is that you stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
That's the key. You can always, shape yourself, and you do, and you change. But the thing is, your core beliefs and your core principles and the spirit of who you are, it will be the same. That's who you are, right? You'll go through the crazy shifts in life as is happening now. But the thing is, you're going to still steer your course. You're going to navigate it the way that you will, because that's how you're going to do it.
Definitely.
And yeah, for me, it was important just to look inwards and find out who I am really in this whole thing, and that was the most important thing. So.
And that should lead all the decisions from there. But I find the more you get caught up on things happening at certain times or facilitating certain goals as quickly as possible, the further away you can get from that connection to self, like you described. So
Exactly. Yeah. And then you feel unfulfilled and all this stuff.
That constant cycle, right? It's almost seasonal. You know what I mean? It's crazy. That's
absolutely. Right. That's right. So you got to remember who you are.
So how do you practice that? How do you stay close to your authentic self and have that proximity to that when you're creating, when you're just living in general? How do you keep that proximity?
I actually listen to a lot of different, different kind of ambient music and stuff like that.
Dope.
That kind of brings my frequency up a little bit, and that way, and also different like soundscapes and stuff like that. I listen to Brian Eno. I love his older works. Absolutely incredible.
Cool.
Still to this day, and obviously will be timeless, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, has a special effect in the brain. And it's like almost like you come back to that time when they were recorded and made, but paradoxically, they're absolutely timeless, right? So there's a very strange kind of quality there. And with certain kinds of music, it resonates with me. And I'm like, yeah, I understand this. And it kind of switches me back and recalibrates me, you know, to kind of find myself, because that artist, and I like his work and other artists as well, you know, like they're finding their self through their, you know, through their process and through their creative output. Through
You're
their
absorbing
music.
authenticity through what you're hearing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm absorbing that authenticity. And it's kind of reminding me of, you know, kind of coming back to that path again. You know, and it just centers you. It's almost like a meditation, right? It's just in a different way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I love that authenticity and what that Brian has created.
Brian, you know,
is what's inspiring you to do the same. And that's what I've realized is that like making all of your creative decisions around what's true to you and expressing as many parts of who you are as authentically as you can. That's what's going to resonate with people the most. Yeah. That authenticity, regardless whether they understand what exactly it is that you might be describing or talking about, the fact that it's so genuine and authentic, the closer it is to you, the more people connect to it. And that's what I've tried to refine in the creative process, is like writing songs, recording melodies, doing things that I feel are really me, that I dance around to and get excited about, and I feel like I'm me really expressing something. And if I achieve that in my own little like insular little studio, then I'm very ready to like share that instantly. But that's the feeling, right? It's that authenticity, I think.
It's the exactly. It's authenticity, but it's also when you're doing it, whatever it is that you do, right, and you're happy doing it. Then you're authentic. That's it.
Yeah, no,
right?
100%.
Right? You're just happy. It's like me painting. I'm doing this. I see the colors forming. I see the you know the shapes and the motif coming together. You know, an idea. The interesting thing with this whole thing is that any creative output, it starts as an idea, but the moment you have that idea, it's already manifested in the real world. Yeah, that's the strangest part.
And if you don't manifest it, it will manifest elsewhere.
Yeah, but it's already manifested. The only thing is that you've got to find it in your world, in the world as you understand it. But the thought itself is that moment where it's actually here. To make it born in the world in terms of where other people can see it, that's for you to manifest it, right? Yeah. It's a different type of manifestation. But yeah, it's just an amazing thing just to even see that. You know, the power of the thought, the power of, you know, the expression. It's really important. So yeah, man.
That's a positive example of thought. I feel like other times you need to dismiss thought.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, pretty quickly. Bad ideas, for example. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You filter it out because of I see thoughts as color a little bit. It's the frequency of it. You know, it's all energy, man. I mean, if you look at
Do you see different kinds of thoughts as different colors?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like I see different with.
When you're actually creating, or do you visualize them when you think of them?
Yeah, it's actually both, because when I think about something and I'm very excited about it, then a lot of that energy will come out and it'll be like orange or almost red, almost like a warning, but yeah, there's a lot of energy there. Something's it's kind of like bubbling from the surface, right? It's revealing itself. And other times it's kind of calm and blue and things like that, and tranquil, and it's also nice. So there are different kind of color frequencies for different ideas. And of course, when you're painting, you can kind of envision where things are going to be moving and how they're moving, because you're moving it just by your thoughts. That's what I believe anyway. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I've discussed this with people that see people in colors, like see people in certain colors, like creative colors are purple and yellow or blues or reds. I've heard other creatives discuss seeing people in certain colors, which is interesting.
Yeah. I think so. I think people kind of see an aura. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely think of whenever I have an idea, I instantly think of a color palette. Like, what color would this be?
Yeah.
What aesthetic would this look like? I love like creating worlds around songs, and color is definitely the first thing that comes to mind. As to what emotion you feel, I think like Impulse, which we worked on together as well, was like completely purple and pink and very feminine and very soft and very warm. And that was the instant, when I wrote the song, that was the instant color.
You can feel it, right?
Definitely.
You can feel that vibration of that color. It's really, it's quite powerful. I mean, ever since I learned about Vasily Kandinsky and the way that he looked at color and all that kind of stuff, right? And like a certain note would be a certain color, like a C sharp or C major would be like a kind of, I think he said it's like a kind of red or an orange or something like this.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of navigate through it in terms of color, what you're actually putting forward, how other people are going to see it, Some really cool things there. So
Well, this was all color based. This was
Yeah.
all like choreographed lighting in different colors to express different moods.
Yeah,
And this is where we
it's
met
powerful.
actually.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this on the way. I was doing the photo shoot before the video with my homie Adam at Josh's studio, and Josh called me like maybe the day or two before and was like, I have this fine artist friend of mine. Why don't you somehow incorporate his works into the shoot? And I was like, yeah, cool. Like let's try it. So we literally put your works projected as images behind me, and then got my silhouette with the different backgrounds, which we then used to market the show, where we actually animated your works and tied the concepts of certain songs to certain works of yours. Like I remember Luna, one of your works I tied to Clarity, because I felt like that was a very ethereal, out of this world kind of moment in the set. So we actually tied together the concepts of the songs with your works, then animated them. I don't know if anyone even cared that we did that, but I thought it was like amazing. So that was a really dope first collaboration for us, and this is now the second with the outfits, which is dope.
Of course, yeah. I love the whole concept of it. You know, bringing in that kind of fine art into the music space and giving people, you know, like a different kind of experience.
Yeah.
You know, from the artist's point of view, in this sense, you know, and the way that it gelled, you know, like in the actual performance and things like this, and in the video. It was quite remarkable actually, the way they come together. And there was also another piece called Butterfly, which was in UV.
I remember that one.
That was one of my absolute favorites, especially against your black silhouette. The contrast was really quite special. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it was amazing, man.
Yeah, dude, that was dope. And it's so much fun, like collaborating with fun artists like yourself to bring the visual elements of these things to life. Like I actually randomly met a lovely guy in Canberra named Jonathan Zalakos, who's like he's studying jewelry at the ANU, like gold and silver and stuff like that. And we're working on the Success Stains grill for the show this weekend,
Cool.
which I'm really excited about. It's super dope because originally I was just like, yeah, grills. We were just gonna do like a plain grill. But then we started talking about the concept, and he was like, you know, what if they were kind of like dripping a little bit, like they were actually the stains kind of like embodying, you know, in your actual mouth as you speak and stuff. So now that I don't actually have any photos of this or anything just yet, but you'll see them in person. But yeah, they're literally again an element of the stains. And I think what's cool about grills is they're very much in line with like confidence and you know, I guess ego in hip hop as well, like having blinged out ice stack grills and stuff. But I like that these are representation of that confidence as well, because man of my word, the song that I released with Spacely that we're performing live, that was like the most confident thing I've made. And I've really, really enjoyed exploring what authentic confidence really is with this release.
Yeah.
So we put this out together, and yeah, if you listen to the lyrics, like it's very confident. It's talking about swerving girls and like running the game for like 18 summers, like that, you know, 18 years, like just being, you know, extremely confident. But I worked really hard to feel this confidence. You know what I mean? I wrote a song every day for at least a month in lockdown, and then wrote this idea in one take. And the whole song is actually recorded in one take, all the final vocals as well. And I love testing, like, is this authentic or am I pushing it too hard? Because I felt that confidence when I dropped the J. Cole freestyle and I said, I'm the J. Cole of Canberra. You know what I mean? I'm really pushing the envelope on like what's borderline cocky, right? But I felt that confidence authentically, and I worked really hard to feel that. I wasn't coming out trying to give myself a false label or anything. I really I do believe that I'm at that level now of at least authentic confidence. So it's been so much fun playing with what that is and seeing, like, trying to understand why that can be perceived as ego and why that can rub people the wrong way, when hopefully it should inspire you and anyone's, you know, doing things with that level of confidence. And I'm loving playing with that idea of what ego versus like authentic confidence really looks like, and understanding and recognizing ego when it's coming in too strong as well, because it's a very it's a powerful master but a dangerous slave for sure.
It is.
Other way around, sorry. Yeah. But this was dope. This I worked on with a lovely guy named Adam Del Pozzo. He animated this whole video with some test footage. So this wasn't even meant to be the final footage. Nick and I shot this pre-lockdown as like, let's try out what we're going to do with the actual video. And then this is all I had in lockdown. So I managed to get in touch with Adam, animated it, and it became like what it is now. But this is not final footage at all. So it's cool that Adam can make it as incredible as it is.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
How rough footage is good enough for real footage anyway.
100%. And the world he brought together was so dope.
It's raw, it's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's real.
Yeah, and you're actually seeing, you know, elements of the stains in this as well. The lightning. There's a big part of nature in this as well. Feeling like source and natural energy from lightning, from water. In Spacely's verse, you're seeing the consequences of the stains and the earth being scorched by this confidence as well. So it's kind of exploring the negative side of ego. And then in I Don't Want to Be Famous, the second song I released with this first track, I'm definitely exploring the more like, yeah, I'm still coming off the back of this confidence, but like, again, I'm like, am I only being loved because I'm this way now? Like, as I get closer to success, is that the reason people are going to like me? Wait a minute, all the people that are successful are like really struggling to even like stay alive.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what am I even chasing anymore? And then I Don't Wanna Be Famous kind of goes a bit dark in that sense. So it's definitely a duality of exploring that confidence, and it's definitely not all positive for sure. It's
Yeah,
definitely, there's a cost that comes to that
Yeah.
that level of confidence, I think.
I think there's a beauty in that kind of journey where you're going through your lowest of lows and your highest of highs, you know,
Yeah.
and everything in between, right? There's real power to that because we all go through that, you know, to some extent, right?
Mm.
But sometimes, you know, like when you're just about to hit that fame and stuff like that, everything changes from that point.
Mm.
And then the real question is, do you change with that? And ultimately you do change to an extent, right? But the thing is with the confidence, you're kind of going through a wave, and that wave has a certain kind of trajectory within that kind of environment, you know?
Yeah.
But if you're true to yourself, you'll find your way through all of this. I think what's really cool about that is that you're using nature, and you know, as you talked about the power of source and things like this, right? Like the lightning, the water, all these kind of energy flows, because they're flows, you know, and that's a really primal thing, you know, for all kind of creatives, you know, to kind of sense that, to feel that. I think subconsciously we all do, you know. It's interesting to get told about it, and then, you know, you've kind of got a bit of a direction with it, but I think ultimately we all kind of understand it. I think it's more universal.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful message.
Yeah. And it's the
Yeah.
way you get the confidence from as well. When it comes
Yeah.
from somewhere internal, I think it's a lot more powerful if you're
Yeah.
if you're becoming successful materially and getting sort of wins, and you're riding this high of like, man, things are happening, things are great. That's going to end at some point. That's not infinite. I've definitely explored that before as well. So yeah, if it's coming from somewhere internal, it's not subjective to what's happening externally. Again, that seems to have more longevity to it as well.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah.
And doing it in a way that, like I said, hopefully inspires and spreads good energy, and doesn't put people off. And I think the best way to test that is just the people you keep around you. And if they're at all calling out going, come on now, like this is a bit much, you know, it's great to have the right people guiding you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man. It's a wild ride.
It's crazy, but it's so much fun, man. And leading into that concept, just beginning it with that, and then going into like the more punk songs. Oh shit! Okay, that fully fell off.
Moving it around.
I was
too much,
I was
bro.
actually holding it up the whole time. Let's fix this up real quick. Yeah, it kind of kept like moving this way a bit.
Yeah, it's actually not the best way to do it.
Thank you, man. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're right.
Can you sing a song, please, Tommy? Can you sing one of my new singles? Can I help it?
We are experiencing technical difficulties.
Everyone's gonna get a nice sound in my armpit.
You just want to give it a shot, bro. I know what's going on. Yeah, tight. I won't touch it again. I'll just let you do. Yeah.
So much energy, Daniel.
Dude, I was holding it up. I promise I didn't break it. I have nothing but respect for the Mustard Flats tech. Cool. I'm just gonna leave it somewhere, and then yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So it's great. It's great starting with this concept and these songs and that confidence, and then going into the duality, man. The angst that I think punk holds. That's why I'm really excited about the punk style we're working on, because I think there's always so much like angst and emotion in that particular kind of music. A lot of like big confident energy, but still a lot of angst and regret and disdain. And I love that balance. And that's why I think that emotional energy in that music is why I'm being pulled in that direction. And I'm really excited about it for sure.
It's very cool, man. It sounds really good. It's raw, and it's got a lot of...
Raw is definitely the word.
It's got a bite to it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's the thing that, you know, people, like, you know, many people have been locked down. They've gone through all these kind of emotions,
Yeah.
myself included.
Yeah.
You know, and we want to express it sometimes. Sometimes you just want to, you know, just go, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and you need an outlet for that. And I think the music's, you know, it's a very important kind of tool for this. And the art as well. The visual art as well is kind of is an outlet too. It's kind of like the frustration has gone past, but you kind of you harness it differently, and you turn it into a positive, which is exactly what the whole concept with stains is, right? The success stains. You make your stains a success, right? So it's just really cool to be part of it. Right?
100%, man. I love the concept resonated so deeply with you because I think as creatives, we can all, I mean, anyone that's been through lockdown really and had to do that kind of work and understand, I don't know what success kind of is and feels like and redefine that now that we've had to slow down and kind of reset certain goals and stuff. Like it's been a great time to define what that is for sure.
For sure, man, for sure. And there's a lot more around the corner, so to speak, right?
Heaps. This is all just the start, really.
This is the start, yeah, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can really feel it. And maybe we might be doing some things next year.
Yeah, man, in the
Yeah.
NFT space.
Yeah, and more.
100%. Yeah. What's
Can you
first?
tell us about those?
Ah,
they're
there's the-
still.
Could be a long chat. Yeah, definitely.
Hey, we got a long time.
Yeah. Oh man, after you. I think you know more about it than I do at this point. So
All right. Well, look, I mean, I chucked up a couple of artworks on Rarible, so I've been verified there, and you can search me up, Tommy Balogh Art.
buy
And
Tommy's NFTs.
yeah, I've got a few up there.
Sick, dude.
Got a few up there,
Hell
so
yeah.
started to even get a few followers, just pretty cool. And I started to get into. I started to understand the difference between having part of the Rarible collection and the Coco NFT collection, which is quite intriguing. So if you guys get into it, the Coco NFT is, I guess, a free NFT from your Instagram post. So every Instagram post can be made into an NFT. But the only difference is that when you use the Etherscan, you won't be able to see it because it technically won't be inscribed on the Ethereum blockchain. It's on its own separate blockchain.
Does Instagram own that NFT or have a stake in it or anything like that if it's Instagram
I'm
content?
not 100% sure, but I think Coco NFT have passed it by Instagram. I don't know whether they've collaborated on it, but
Yeah.
but anyway, but the Rarible one, obviously you have to pay the minting fee and all this kind of stuff, right? The gas fees. And they're quite high. Look, fair enough. $100 plus for each image is not cheap.
Damn.
But it depends on time of day and all this kind of stuff. How many people are, on their computers, doing that. So, but it's been fun. I've even had a couple of offers as well. So it's been, a bit of a ride, so to speak, right?
What would determine like the value of say this artwork fluctuating in the NFT space? Is there anything like in the art world that like is it kind of like the stock market? Would it kind of influence how valuable your work is?
I mean, from what
Is it off your own success as like a celebrity or an artist? Like what's kind of the main thing?
Well, I'm quite new to it myself.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that as with anything, having intrinsic popularity or the original popularity you have obviously will extend your reach through the NFT space, and especially if you have an audience, a large audience that like what you do and value what you do, then naturally that will define your price in the market and your sellability and all this kind of stuff. But for me, it's been fun because it's like I've had to go through the process of getting a wallet, which is quite unusual, right? And then you have to get Coinbase, and then you've got to transfer.
Yeah, I
your
got into
money.
crypto recently. I have to get like 4 different apps just to transfer funds into like the MetaMask
correct.
wallet, and man,
That's right.
it's crazy.
And MetaMask has failed me many times. I've even had to re-download
I've watched
it.
so many YouTube tutorials on how to use MetaMask, man.
Yeah. Like,
And I'm getting coins that aren't on the main, Ethereum BitChains and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
it's like, what is this? We
Yeah.
don't really understand what we're doing. To tell you the
No,
truth.
100%. But no, that's the reason I hesitated because I had a few ideas. Like I created this Instagram filter recently for success stains, and I had this idea of like getting people to use the filter, like react using it, record it, and putting together a collectible series with each reaction with like an unreleased song hidden in each collectible and doing 5 or 6 of them, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you touched on. I feel like everyone that I've kind of like observed doing it, like Timbaland doing his Opera Noir NFT series where he would like literally sell samples of an upcoming unreleased record as NFTs and collectibles that people could then use in their own production and stuff. Like that's all off the back of Timbaland or Snoop Dogg having like a virtual mansion which people are now buying real estate next to and stuff. Like it's all based off celebrity. So I was trying to figure out, like I was talking to Monograph, a company in the States that's co-founded by Kyle McCory, the founder of NFTs, and they were saying they were like encouraging getting the celebrity presence. Like they were like, can you get like T-Pain to use the filter or something? And I was like, I don't want to hit up T-Pain and like ask him to use the filter. Like it's kind of whack. But yeah, I'm trying to find out a way that's like, that I can make something that's cool in the market that's not based off celebrity. That's just like a really dope, like dude, our outfits and like a live performance with hidden collectibles and stuff like exclusively in the NFT landscape. That'd be sick.
I think
But
it's awesome,
I don't understand enough about what makes the market like more valuable in that sense.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm kind of the same. I'm a bit of a newbie to this whole thing. But yeah, it's look, I mean, it's a very big marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that are really on top are the ones that have created something original, you know, and it resonates with people. And yeah, of course, celebrity is obviously a bit of a driving force to it as well. But yeah, we'll feel it out, quote unquote.
100%. Yeah. And just make something cool. Like I love the idea of releasing a song as an NFT exclusively. Yeah, so just trying to talk to the right companies in Australia and overseas and seeing what the approach is for next year.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm considering for next year, I'm considering doing a couple of snippets of the video for the Vortex works.
Sick.
And then having NFTs of those during process. So for one particular piece, I may even actually destroy that artwork. Who knows, right? So then you will have the
the art
digital
will be the
version.
yeah,
Correct. So the artwork will be in the digital domain. It'll be the spirit of the artwork.
But the process of the artwork or the actual final artwork?
I'm still considering maybe having the original or adding the original with the whole package or what, you know, there's still a lot of different possibilities.
Yeah. Because if there was a way to capture the process and the final art as one digital piece, that'd be incredible. That'd be dope.
That'd be pretty amazing, actually. Yeah.
See, man, we're getting there. We're close.
There.
We're close. January,
Ideas flowing, right?
Love it, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, you got NFTs live as well, right?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we got the Mustard Flats NFT.
Guys, cop that.
Anyone?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll take any bids.
I'll cop that tonight.
Yeah, no, I think it's just really fun.
Yeah.
That's the main thing with NFTs. Like, obviously, you're not going to be able to, like, the big ones selling them for millions of dollars, but you got to start somewhere. And when I first heard about NFTs, was curious about what the impact would be on smaller artists, like up and coming artists. Is there going to be a place for them? And as it's going, it seems like it's harder and harder, obviously, because there's so many people. But do you think that still is a possibility, that it is a place where you can get your art at the ground level of these like people?
It's possible, I reckon. But look,
and using that as a way to grow your practice and stuff.
I think it's possible, but it's almost like a social media platform. You have to start liking and sharing and commenting on other people's NFTs to get the attention back on you. Right.
So it's a community.
So it's a community. It's an organic growth thing. It's very similar to, you know, like a social media platform. So, you know, but I think originality of idea and timing and stuff like this, you know, and having a good cohort, you know, behind you in terms of your audience and stuff like that, they can actually propel you forward in that space. These are all kind of things that they enhance, you know, the way that you're seen within that space, because it's a very crowded marketplace. Everyone's jumping on it because they saw, you know, me included. I mean, you know, who was the what's his name?
Doppel or something.
Doppel.
What's it?
Well, I was thinking
the
of
big one.
The big one, yeah. With the 5,000 or 10,000 days.
Yeah, I was trying to pull that up. The one that got me into it was a guy named Wilson, an artist friend of mine from Sydney.
Beeple.
Doppel.
Or Bored Ape. Bored Ape went pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's those two different categories. There's like the kind of collectible ones, and then there's the artwork ones.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was one of the most amazing ones. I think it was rightfully so sold for so much because the concept is really quite amazing. The artist, you know, he tries and tries and tries for 5,000 days, right? How many? That's like 13 years or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's like failure after failure, but he knows that one day it's going to become something. So he creates a complete mosaic of all these concepts, and it becomes an amazing visual representation of that. You know, it's very well done.
Wow.
And it's a great inspiration. Of course, the money is incredible. What was it, 70 million or something?
Yeah, 70 mil.
Yeah, something like that. So it's pretty incredible. So that obviously inspired me to get into the space as well. Try my luck, have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
You know, and have a cryptocurrency, whatever the hell that is.
The way the future, I really found interesting is that a Melbourne guy, Lush Sucks. He's probably now Australia's most highest earning contemporary artist.
Wow.
In Australia right now. This guy. and it's just from
It's legal, right?
It's from
That's-
memes
yeah.
and
That's fantastic.
he's
The stock's plummeted so hard the moment that happened.
he's a graffiti artist
Oh,
Sick.
man. That's awesome.
who does his own take on memes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he did kind of what you were talking about in selling every post of his Instagram, and he sold every post, and it's like he sold his feed for like $4 million.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
Because everyone's just buying one little thing, but he was doing this work for that many years, painting hundreds of walls, thousands of walls, and he kind of just nailed it.
Amazing.
Really interesting.
So do you own? Well, obviously you can't own the original artwork if it's on a wall, but I guess that's the only form of that artwork
Yeah.
in existence. So you'd
Yeah.
own the original artwork, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, then we could do, whether it's a painting or, something, you just take a photo of that and then do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a really cool NFT.
Very dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I was inspired
Or
by
it could
was...
all just be hype and like it'll fade away.
Yeah, I know that there's marketing within the crypto space, like PR and stuff you can do to really
Huge
like,
hype,
yeah, I don't really understand how that works. But no, the guy that I was really inspired by was a guy named Wilson from Sydney, who he made the first AR reactive Instagram filter reaction series like I was talking about. So he
Cool.
got a bunch of people to do what I was thinking of doing because I saw him do it.
Yeah.
And his NFT went from like 0 to 80K value in like 4 months because he was the first person in the world to do that kind of reactive kind of collectible, I think it was. Which is dope. And now he works for the company that minted the NFT named Monograph in the States.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a crazy world, man. It's so exciting. And I think it's really going to take away the power of labels with artists because artists will take like 100% of those royalties if they remain independent. And
That's right.
it's just streamlining the selling of their art straight to their audience.
Yeah, and they get royalties on every sale. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool. So,
But the thing is too that I've been talking to people about is protecting the original copyright so that however many hands it's passed on to, like if it's sold on, you still make 10% perpetuity of those rights as is passed on to every other person it's sold to in the crypto space. That's the
Exactly.
big valuable thing I think you need to focus on.
that's the valuable thing. Yeah. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a passive income, man, for your
It
kids.
is.
And yeah, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
Wow. A lot to think about.
Heaps, man. Heaps of plans for sure.
NFTs.
Yeah. We'll see. But I can see our work's definitely being like a part of that for sure.
Yeah, especially with the things that may happen next year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very excited about that. And yeah, a lot of possibility, man.
100%.
You know, the Stains, a concept, man. I'm gonna run with it quite a bit into next year. So
100%. Where do you see us performing in the actual works you've created, man? It's wild that it's like wearable art. It's crazy.
that's really cool.
It's
That's
next
really
level.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, man.
How did you?
Could we see a work created on stage?
That's pretty
On
wild.
those new,
Oh,
on a
wow.
new set of jumpsuits.
Yeah. Created live.
Yeah.
Very wild.
Under UV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sprayed
yeah.
with the vortex. The
Fill
issue
with
was
the
the paint, or
vortex.
not the issue, but the thing for us was the paint took so long to dry. It had
It
to like
takes a
sit
long
there
time.
for like, 4 or 5 days.
And the crowd might cop a few stains. too.
A little bit too involved in the concept. Yeah. Yeah. But now it's bulletproof. Like that stuff sticks so hard. It's great.
Oh, it's great. Okay,
It'll stay on for sure.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Great.
No, very cool, man. I think that whole like, cinematic element to the set and having that concept tying it together, it makes the songs just so much more impactful when they're part of like these acts that we put together, the 4 acts and the 4 moments of the Stains integrating and
Yeah.
how I find them in the storm at the start of the video that you saw earlier. And I'm
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like I haven't even visualized the journey yet tangibly, but the idea is that like I'm lost at sea and these stains like emerge from this storm and they kind of see that I've come far enough to find them and be near them. But they say like, look, we've seen men of your spirit here like 1,000,000 times before. What makes you special and different? And then I kind of throughout the set try and prove myself to the Stains. And then they kind of recognize that I'm carrying a lot of I guess past demons, maybe traumas. And they're going, look, we see that you're carrying this with you, but if you can kind of bring those moments from the past that have caused you so much pain and recreate them now as a tool of strength, we can like really, take you somewhere that you can't possibly imagine. And then I slowly start to try and do that and do that work. And then then I'm kind of reluctant and I go, man, this is all well and good, but like you're terrifying, like you're so powerful and potentially evil. I don't know if this is the right move. And they go, let's just show you like what we can do together.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
give me a taste of that power. And then, we slowly decide to integrate and we become one, and we've kind of negotiated and how it's going to work. And then we integrate fully. But the key is that I'm integrating them in a way that speaks to who I am, and they're not controlling me. They're enhancing who I already am. And in a way, they were kind of there the whole time for me to begin with. And that's kind of the journey of the live set throughout the 13 songs we're doing. It's like the biggest set we've done. And with each interlude and each, incorporation of the stains that you see with the lights visually, that's that journey kind of coming to fruition. And by the time we reach the end of it, it's just peak insane hype and energy and confidence with the grills and everything. So like it's a fun journey for sure.
Oh man, imagine the energy that you project out. Imagine the energy that they're getting. The audience. Right?
Yeah. Well, dude, first headline shows in like 2 years, man. Like it's surreal that it's been that long. Yeah, and to have this kind of, even last week, having this kind of level of creative release of how many increments the boys and I put into the music and the presentation, the work we've done, the release is just insane. And I know that this weekend's going to be like stupid. So I'm so excited. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, try and see you there.
100%, man, 100%. But it's so weird when you're like, as I'm sure you were as well, being in that like insulated internal space for so long, and then suddenly like you're like back and people are experiencing all these ideas you've had, and suddenly they're measurable as far as like how good they are. If I'm able to pull off the objectives I have when I release this music, like all of a sudden I'm like very close to realizing all the ideas that I have as far as the way I want this music to hit and how I want to be the first artist in Australia to properly do this new wave punk stuff and pull it off. And all of a sudden I think the closer you get to goals that you set, the more attached you become, the closer you get to them being realized. And I've really just tried to keep the balance and energy that I had throughout lockdown of just like being focused on the process and being fulfilled from that, and not being too caught up in what's happening externally. And trying to maintain that while everything goes back to full speed is a really interesting challenge. But again, just focusing on the process is like the best thing I come back to, I guess.
Beautifully said. Focusing on that process. Same with me. It's you go through this. It's a crazy journey, right? You're back to normal now. I can start to perform and do things, because I perform too. I do I used to do live paintings, right?
Spoken word poetry, right?
Interpretive dance.
Interpretive
I
dance.
saw one of your comedy acts, man. It wasn't great.
With power drills and paint dripping everywhere.
Oh man, So it's really cool just to get that vibe again. That you can start to create again. Publicly. Next year's going to be exciting. Might be doing a couple of public artworks with the new, technique. And I just want to see how it works, not just in the horizontal, but in the vertical. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see how that's going to work out, how that plays out. So.
Do you mean painting upright, not on the ground? Yeah. Because you usually do it on the ground, right?
Of course. Panels are laid out. Jackson Pollock. You drip the paint, you pour the paint.
Does he ever paint vertically? Does he ever like chuck paint at a vertical canvas?
It's kind of funny because I think his first wife, I believe, is kind of credited for his technique, really.
What?
Something like this. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But he ran with the concept very far, obviously.
Did she just kick a can of paint over one day and he was like, "This is it," or like what? What exactly?
Maybe.
This is genius. What exactly was it?
It's kind of like.
Is she an artist as well, or is she just like?
I believe she was an artist. Yeah, cool. I think he dated a lot of different artists. So she's kind of credited for that kind of thing. I forgot her name, but it's kind of like you'd have a canvas normal, right? But it's not on the ground. It's as a normal canvas when you're painting, right?
Yeah.
Inclined on an easel, and she'd just kind of slash some paint and stuff like that. That energy, I think he took a lot of that. But this is just it's kind of half theory of mine. But I read some things about it in places. So. Yeah, it's kind of forming something, and I think that but let's see what happens when we go vertical with this technique. It's just going to be so different. It's just it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm very excited at the same time because of what's possible, right? It's just next year, man.
Huge things.
What we're gonna do? My goodness.
Is collaboration a big part of your process?
I am embracing it in a big way because before I was, quite insular a little bit. You know? I was concentrating on things of my ideas, blah, 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 all this, right? But when I started to, let in other people's concepts and ideas and things like that, it actually made me flourish a bit as well. I loved it. The collaboration energy is really beautiful because it can amplify together. And yeah, when we're resonating with with our project, and it's just been the most beautiful ride I've had actually. So I've absolutely loved it.
I'm so happy to hear that, man.
Can't wait for next year.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Yeah, no, that's why I asked the question, because I've found that, like, for example, with like this punk sound that I'm building in the punk mixtape, like going to different producers or songwriters in Sydney, for example, and going, this is where I'm at. These are the ideas that I've got, and I kind of go, let's like recreate, Rage Against the Machine's Battle of Los Angeles, like Blink-182's Enema of the State in like a current context, like give them that reference, and seeing how people respond to that. Yep. It's definitely taken it in weird and wonderful ways that I couldn't have possibly predicted or wanted to go in myself. And it's really cool. That's what I meant about collaboration. It's just really cool getting other people's inputs and hearing how they respond to your ideas, and then things facilitating that you weren't necessarily planning on.
Exactly.
And then the vision kind of starts to form. You're like, okay. Yeah,
it's like normal almost after. It's like
100%.
It's like, because at first it's like you're a bit vulnerable because you are, right.
Well, you need to be. I think
you need to be. Yeah. You need to be, and then things start to come into you.
Yeah,
and then a lot more comes out that you never thought you could do.
Yeah,
I never thought I could do this, or or do the vortex, or even take chances in certain parts of the process.
Definitely.
And that just brings it to another tier.
Yeah.
Of energy and the purity of that energy. So yeah, let's just see what kind of crazy stuff we're gonna do.
Definitely. But you have to be open though. You have to be open to like it not going the way that you envisioned, or relinquishing a great idea that you had that you might be really attached to and really proud of. Being like, okay, let's sacrifice that for the betterment of the overall project, and like go that way. But I think collaboration has really taught me like openness and trying to practice egolessness and just trying to make the best thing possible and being of service to that idea, not to you. It's cool. It's been a really good process for sure.
Yeah, that's right, and it shapes you. That's the beauty of it,
right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because all these new things coming in, you're a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just, you flourish in it. It's beautiful, man.
Absolutely, dude. And I love so much, like with you or with Adam, the guy who did the video, just being like, here's literally everything that I've thought of and can do. Now literally just do the full extent of whatever that means to you. Like full creative control on your end, do your thing. And then it just is what it is. But that definitely comes with like a lot of faith and confidence in the people that you work with, of course. But yeah, I love just that final phase of relinquishing control and being like, well, it'll be what it'll be now, and like
relinquishing control.
Yeah, dude.
And that's what my art's always been about, relinquishing control.
Totally.
It's controlling you pretty much. Right?
Yeah. There was a version Adam did of the video where I had about 4 heads and I looked like a deity or a god, and I was like, I don't really want to be seen like that. I'm like, let's maybe take that one scene out. So it's like tiny little revision.
Pare it back.
I'm not a god, bro, but little tiny little things. But otherwise, I love the idea of just like the all out creativity for sure.
Oh man, I love it.
Yeah, dude.
Although I do love the god idea though.
It looked cool, but it was evil and like a deity, and I was like, I'm not sure that I am that, Yeah, and that's what the only as far as revisions or changing ideas, that's where it comes into play for me. Is like, this all has to be me and who I am at the end of the day. If anything doesn't feel like me, or feels inauthentic, or feels like I'm trying to, portray myself a certain way to achieve a certain goal, like I said before, I have to keep myself in check with like what is authentic. And if anything isn't, then I kind of reel things in and go, okay, let's not do that sort of thing. I think that's the form of clarification I have with ideas for sure.
For sure, man. You feel it, you know it.
Yeah.
You basically know it. And you add to your knowledge through that process.
Enhance it, hopefully.
You enhance it, exactly. You're learning all the way, learning all the time. So, yeah, it's very cool.
100%.
Question here from the chat.
Cool.
You talked earlier about the lockdown and actually being a positive for you guys, opening up some new possibilities and stuff. How has that been with lockdown ending now? That or not, our lockdown ending, but COVID's still going. Has that meant another change in how you operate, and a overflowing of ideas, or a sense of scared of the possibilities of what's next, or how has that been?
It's a great question.
Really great question. Can we ask who asked that, Nick?
Dale. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Love
Friend
Dale.
of the show, Dale. Yeah.
Lovely Dale. Yeah.
Who's gonna start?
Up to you, man.
All right.
I'm sure.
Okay. Well. With me, I mean, the lockdown obviously changed things in the way that it brought out a positive, and now it's a different thing. Now it's changing a little bit, and now we've got to change it up a little bit in terms of how we look at it. I think,
Yeah.
because every environment that you're in, you have to adapt to it in order for you to to
Flourish.
to flourish, to
Yeah.
propel, that kind of stuff. So we've got to change it up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's an exciting time as well. And we just got to, play it a bit different in terms of certain things. So, it's going to be interesting. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Are you going to move back to the car park?
No, I actually like working from home because it gives me a lot of freedom in that sense.
And you're closer to your family as well, which is going to be
closer to
really nice.
family, 100%.
Yeah.
And we're working towards obviously a bigger space, right? Because it does have its challenges for being a smaller space.
Yeah.
So naturally, there are those limitations and all this stuff. But I think that we'll basically pull it together and kind of look at the situation and then find the best in it, because that's the thing that you kind of have to do in this sense, right? Now it's almost like it's not too easy, but it's very different than before.
Yeah.
Your energy was a certain way to react to the situation.
Yeah.
Now things are opening up, and you've become. Became a little bit complacent with it, right? Because it's like everything's locked down, that same energy, right? And then things open up, and it's different. And it's like you've recalibrated. So you've got to recalibrate again.
And there's naturally more energy.
Yeah.
There's more happening and
There's
more
more
to,
happening, yeah.
I guess, distract you in a way as well.
Distraction,
Keep you busy. Oh, yeah, I'm cool. I'm still doing all the right things. And it's like, no, I'm actually just in movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what it's been for me, is like the acceleration of like, dude, since the release for the past 2 months, it's been insane. Yeah, all very positive things, but certainly keeping like my energy levels in check and trying to keep the practice I had in lockdown as far as staying present and stealing time when I need to a bit has been really important, just not to burn out. But it was such a gift, like just having that abundance of time, just feeling that amount of like, okay, I can really take the time with the process. I can read, I can write. Having all that time to yourself to really like, reflect on certain things was great. But then when the quick acceleration has been like, wow, okay, I'm just trying to keep that level of presence with everything's kind of unfolding that way.
Up with it. Yeah.
Definitely. But I had a lot of those times this year, man. Like I did that retreat in April, obviously the various lockdowns. Like I had a lot of time to really refine how I keep myself present and focused and happy. And yeah, it's always really fun, especially coming back from the retreat of doing the 10 days of complete silence and coming back to the real world. Again, that was a rapid acceleration of like, whoa, there's so much noise and stimulation and things taking me out of this internal focus that I've got. So it's a great constant test to be aware of, to go back to that full speed, I reckon.
Exactly, man.
Which is all good things.
Exactly. It just tests you out. It's just another part of the process, really.
So many tests, man.
That's what life's about,
so
right?
many tests, right?
It's just test after test after test, right?
Yeah.
That could be the meaning of life. How you transcend those tests, right?
The meaning of life.
The meaning of life could be like you're bombarded with all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of are.
Well, no, I definitely think you are, man. I think you're bombarded with so much, and I think it can distract you from like, I don't know. I think you can like live many lifetimes to finally realize that we are here just to be of service.
Yeah.
To each other, the world, for connection, to love each other.
That's right. Exactly.
But I think that energy of service is so important.
Energy of service. That's
Talking about the meaning of life, I just came. Yeah, that's what I dropped that. So yeah.
Well, I'll let you guys go soon, but I just want to touch on something you just said. You said you did 10 days of silence.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that, because people will be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was wild.
You were on a retreat, and what happened?
Yeah. So I heard about this technique through various friends. This retreat called Vipassana, where you go to a center in Blackheath in the Blue Mountains. It's a beautiful center. There's an elderly man who's now passed away named Goenka, who's of Indian origin. He founded 120 of these centers around the world, and his whole intention was to free people of inner misery and unlock inner harmony. That was his whole mission statement. And you go to these retreats at any point, anyone can go. You go for a period of 10 days. That's the minimum to go when you first arrive. It's all donation based. You don't pay fees or anything. There's no business model to it. It's literally, it felt very pure. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, I went for 10 days. I meditated for between 10 to 13 hours a day. There was no eye contact, no communication. Your diet was set. I think I was vegetarian for 10 days. And you meditate in this hall. And yeah, you can't write, read, draw. There are no electronic devices. There's no eye contact even with anyone.
Wow.
Very deep internal space you go
My
into,
goodness.
which is quite intimidating to do it to that amount. But like I said, having that level of time and to be in an environment where like the outside world didn't exist for that period of time, the depth you can access is pretty profound and powerful. And yeah, it was funny, man. There was obviously we did a lot of sits and a lot of things, and I went very deep and had some great moments of connectivity and understanding. Body pain was insane. Like you sit in the lotus pose for like 12 hours a day.
Jeez.
And you do it for hour-long blocks. You can then get up and move after an hour, but for an hour at a time, you have to be in this pose with your legs crossed. Man, I felt like I had like daggers in my back and my knees were going to pop at one point. And you have this whole understanding about what pain is. And trying to like not judge or acknowledge it, and just the whole idea is to practice just non-judgment and accept things how they are and not how you want them to be. So when you're meditating, if you access a deep state of meditation and you reach what the term they described it as is banga, I guess it's a moment of true deep connection to something. The moment, if you ever experience that, the moment that you identify you're experiencing this incredible moment of connectivity, it disappears. It just goes away. And you cling to it, you attach to it, you're like, oh man, I was so close to like having that connection, and it goes away. Similar thing with pain. The moment that you can not acknowledge that you're in pain, it kind of ceases and you don't want it to end, and you're equanimous and accept things how they are, not how you want them to be. That was kind of the learning for me. Yeah, it was wild. So learning about bodily pain, I learned a lot about ego. I realized that my ego actually got me through the retreat because I was just competing with myself the whole time. Like I was like, yeah, 4:30 a.m. to the gong, push-ups every day, meditate for 12 hours. And like, hopefully there was a bit of balanced mindfulness in that process, but it definitely was like me versus me the whole time. And I did realize that, and that's kind of what inspired this whole world of success stains, is that nurturing ego and self-confidence to a point that it's motivating you and pushing you and helping you realize your potential and helping other people. Ego can be healthy. And every time they told me every day we wanted to dispel ego from the world, I didn't really agree with it. And I've tried to come back and nurture that potentially negative thing into a positive. And I've really enjoyed exploring that.
Beautiful, yeah.
That's a short version of the
Amazing.
retreat. It was
Short.
infinite hours of like pain and agony, but yeah, it was fire, man. It definitely changed my whole level of understanding of focus and potential for sure.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, wow.
And thankfully, you're not silent tonight, and we could talk to you. So
Yeah,
thank you
it was
for-
funny. I had my birthday party a few weeks later, and I was like, "Yeah, guys, I'm actually a monk now. Like, you know, I'm celibate. I'm not drinking. I don't do anything like that anymore." And everyone's like, "Wow, this is incredible!" And then obviously it was made up, but everyone believed it.
You know what's funny? Remember we were talking about before a while back that the landscaper for the retreat.
That is a wild.
See
please,
how,
please.
Okay.
That's a wild
All
6
right.
degrees moment.
All right.